A few videos back, I asked you guys to let me know if you wanted me to take a look at any other movies between Halloween updates, and overwhelmingly, you told me you wanted me to review Halloween 4 and 6. There were a few votes for Halloween 5, but Halloween 4 and 6 really took home the pumpkin. For chronology's sake, we're gonna start off with Halloween 4, The Revenge of Michael Myers. It came out in 1988, which was a full 10 years after the original movie, and it was directed by Dwight H. Little, the mastermind behind such works as Free Willy 2 and Murder at 1600. After Halloween 3 Season of the Witch underperformed financially and critically, Mustafa Akkad wanted to take the series back to its roots and make some money. I mean, bring back Michael Myers, that's what I meant. So Dwight went to his screenwriting buddy Alan B. McElroy, who's credited on works such as Wrong Turn 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and together they created a movie that, despite its flaws, I've always liked. I think the single best thing in this entire movie is its intro. They shot it in Salt Lake City, Utah instead of Pasadena, California, and even though you can see an out of focus mountain or two in the background, they did a much better job at making it feel like the Midwest. I used to live in Michigan, and as you get closer to Halloween, fall mornings can be downright freezing to the point of a little bit of frost forming on the windshield of your car while you're driving to work or school. And when I watch this opening scene, I feel that cold. The decorations on display aren't really that scary, they're actually kind of cute, but when you pair them with that gloomy morning light, the sound of the wind howling through the dead trees, and the glowing orange titles, it gets me in the perfect mood to watch a Halloween movie. After that perfect intro, we cut to a stormy night and follow an ambulance up to Ridgemont Federal Sanatorium. It's revealed that for the past 10 years, Michael has been in a coma strapped to a bed, and for some unexplained reason, he's being transferred back to Smith's Grove. Why Michael was placed there in the first place, or why he's being transferred after a decade, is beyond me. In a documentary you can find on YouTube for free about Halloween 4, 5, and 6, Dwight says that he only ended up referencing the first movie for Halloween 4 because he didn't want to be tied down by Halloween 2. That seems like a smart move at first because but this guy must have been drunk for the entire shoot or something, because Halloween 4 has a lot of tie-ins to Halloween 2. After getting bodied by 6 bullets, I could totally see Michael falling into a coma and being captured a short distance away, and I would have accepted that explanation willingly. But as the paramedics are riding the elevator up to Michael's room, the sanatorium security guard makes multiple references to Halloween 2. First, he says that Michael killed 16 people a decade prior on Halloween night just to get to his sister. I understand that at this point, Michael Myers is kind of an urban legend, but expanding the kill count from Halloween 1 to 16 is kind of a stretch, and the plotline of Laurie being Michael's sister was introduced in Halloween 2. And then he goes on to say that Dr. Loomis set both Michael Myers and himself on fire, and later on when we're reintroduced to Dr. Loomis, he clearly has a burn scar on his face. So yeah, either the director was drunk for this entire shoot, or he has no idea what he's talking about. On the way to Smith's Grove, of course Michael wakes up once he hears that he still has a living relative, and at this point it's safe to say that he's no longer just a psychopath hellbent on killing. He's graduated into the immortal status of Freddy Krueger and Jason Voorhees. Honestly, I don't really mind it because what other option is there? A dude can only live through so many lethal situations before he becomes a joke, so I think it's good that the filmmakers got ahead of it and went full camp with the character. After Michael escapes, we're introduced to the heroes of the movie, Rachel and Jamie Lloyd. Oh look, they have a dog. I bet he'll make it to the end of the movie. Jamie Lee Curtis decided to skip the 10-year anniversary of Halloween, so she's written out of the franchise completely. Apparently she died after having her daughter Jamie, and that's that. It really is an unremarkable ending to one of horror's most remarkable protagonists. I've always liked Jamie and Rachel as characters. Rachel's arc is written and acted well, and even though she's upset she has to take Jamie trick-or-treating, it's done in a believable way that doesn't make her look like a total piece of shit. And you guys know how much I love kid actors in movies, but Danielle Harris did a great job in this one. I don't want to give the filmmakers too much credit, but having the two protagonists be smart, resourceful women was a pretty cool move for 1988. Danielle Harris was a really cute little kid, and she's easy to empathize with. I feel sad for her when she's looking at that picture of her mom, and her nightmare where she sees Michael is genuinely terrifying, and she completely sells it. And speaking of that nightmare, we finally get to see the mask this movie went with, and boy is it bad. It's pasty, the hair looks terrible, and the eyebrows make him look like he's surprised to see you. It really does look like they went to Halloween USA or Spirit or whatever Halloween store was around in 1988 and picked up the cheapest reproduction from the original movie they could find. Except for this one scene where the mask is pink and has blonde hair. Actually, that's what the whole costume looks like in this movie, the cheapest Halloween store reproduction they could find. Nothing is proportioned right, and he walks like he has no neck. I just don't understand why after the original film, no one could commit to making the mask look like it did in the original until Rob Zombie of all people remade it in 2007, and of course the mask in this year's sequel. Halloween 4 really picks up once Loomis is reintroduced because no matter how insane or ridiculous the plot lines got, Donald Pleasence always gave it his 100% best, and I appreciate that a lot. It's just like how Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee put their all into the Hammer Dracula movies even when those started to fall apart. I always felt bad for Loomis when those kids drive off. He's an old man with a limp and a burned face, and you're gonna be a bunch of assholes like that? Alright. It works out though once he's picked up by the alcoholic reverend. This scene is honestly one of the best in the entire series. It's like looking in a mirror for Loomis. Just like Loomis, he knows what true evil is. No matter how many people tell him he's a nut for harping on it for so long, he'll keep fighting until he's dead. Once Michael's rampage begins, the movie really starts to fall apart. I like the idea of Haddonfield getting cut off from the outside world, but how the hell did Michael even know how to do that without cutting off power to the whole city? He was put away when he was a kid, and even if he wasn't, how would he know where to go to bring down the long distance phone lines? There's so many plot holes in this movie that making sure this one's plugged always felt bizarre to me. Michael is able to take out the entire police force off screen because obviously showing Michael come out on top versus like 8 dudes with guns is pretty insane. Just in time though, a bunch of rednecks show up and decide to drive around in pickup trucks with their guns looking for Michael. If an entire police station full of trained officers couldn't take down Michael Myers, how could these guys? They end up killing a drunk dude who passes out in a bush. Is that supposed to be comic relief? Then we get this incredible scene where a guy who's smart enough to take down an entire town's phone systems doesn't know how to shoot a gun. And after that, the movie wraps up pretty quick with the redneck army and a few police officers shooting Michael a bunch of times. And even though he's lived through 6 gunshots and being blown up, nobody thinks to go check if he might have survived. The last bizarre thing this movie does is at the last second, it turns out Jamie had Michael's curse transferred to her, and it looks like she's gonna be the killer in the franchise from now on. It's a bold move, but I don't really get why they did it. The whole reason this movie even happened is because people couldn't handle the fact that Michael isn't the protagonist in Halloween 3, so there's no way they'd be allowed to make that mistake again. So why did they go out of their way to make it harder for themselves in Halloween 5? You know, I might catch some flack for saying this, but despite its flaws, I actually still really enjoy watching Halloween 4. It's hokey, it's dumb, and it's campy, and it's clearly a cash grab to celebrate the 10-year anniversary of John Carpenter's masterpiece, but it does just enough right that it can get past a lot of its mistakes. The 2 main characters are both worthy successors to Laurie Strode. There's some absolutely brutal kills, and even though he could have easily phoned in his role for a quick paycheck, Donald Pleasence puts in just as much effort playing Dr. Loomis as he did in the first 2 movies. But now I want to hear from you, so make sure you let me know what you think of Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers, and my review of it down in the comments below. The 2 biggest things you can do to help me out are subscribe if you're not already and hit the thumbs up button. But that's all the time I have for today, guys, so as always, my name is Jimmy Champane, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.